I learned my life was collapsing at 8:47 a.m., standing in a hallway that smelled like printer toner and burnt coffee. The financial aid director didn't even look up when she delivered the sentence that shattered everything. "I'm sorry, Ms. Rowan, but your scholarship has been terminated. Effective immediately." The floor tilted beneath me. What? My voice cracked. That scholarship covers everything. There must be a mistake. The donor withdrew funding this morning. She shuffled papers like my future was a stack of loose documents she could refile. There's nothing we can do. I gripped the edge of the counter. But the semester started 2 weeks ago. You'll need to settle your remaining balance or withdraw from your courses. Withdraw? The word punched the air from my lungs. My scholarship was the only reason I could study psychology here. I worked nights at a grocery store and weekends at a cafe, but that barely covered rent for my tiny studio on the edge of the city. My mother could hardly pay her own medical bills. I had no backup plan, no savings. I had nothing. "Please," I whispered, but she was already calling the next student forward. I stumbled out of the office into the hallway, blinking until the fluorescent lights blurred. My chest tightened, breath snagging as panic clawed at my ribs. I made it outside just before my vision tunneled. Cold Seattle morning air slapped my cheeks as I crossed the courtyard, trying to breathe, trying not to cry. I didn't see the man until I crashed into him. A hard, solid chest, a splash of hot liquid, a sharp inhale that didn't belong to me. My backpack slid off my shoulder as I stumbled back, horrified. His coffee, an expensive-looking caramel latte, had exploded against his slate-gray suit jacket. I'm so sorry," I gasped. "I wasn't looking. Are you burned?" The man checked his sleeve. His expression didn't shift, but there was a stillness about him, like his emotions didn't move without permission. He was tall, over 6 feet, broad-shouldered, and impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that definitely did not come from a department store. His hair was dark with silver threaded at the temples, perfectly styled. And his eyes, they were the kind of blue that made you feel seen, even when you wished you weren't. "It's fine," he said calmly, though his tone carried the weight of someone used to being obeyed. "Are you all right?" I nodded too quickly. "Yes, no, I don't know." His brows drew together. "You're shaking." "I'm fine. I just lost my scholarship, and then I ruined your suit. And I can pay for dry cleaning because I can afford rent because I can I stopped myself, mortified. Why was I babbling my entire tragedy to a stranger? A very intimidating, powerful-looking stranger. His gaze sharpened with interest. "You lost your scholarship?" I swallowed. "This morning. They said the donor pulled out." A muscle in his jaw ticked. "Which scholarship?" I told him. His eyes narrowed, not in anger at me, but at something behind me. Something inside the situation I didn't understand. "And then," he said a name. "My name is Dr. Adrian Blake." My stomach dropped. I knew that name. Everyone on campus did. Adrian Blake, age 43, billionaire tech founder, major donor to the University of Cascadia, known for funding trauma research programs and scholarships, known for avoiding publicity, known for being brilliant, private, and intimidating. And I had just drenched him in caramel latte. Before I could apologize again, a man in a black blazer, the kind of blazer that screamed security, approached. "Dr. Blake, sir, your car is ready." "Give me a moment," Adrian said without looking away from me. The guard stepped back instantly. My mouth felt dry. "I really am sorry. You said the scholarship was pulled this morning." His voice was low, precise. "Did they tell you why?" "No, just that the donor backed out." "Well," he said, eyes steady on mine, "that donor was me." My breath froze. "I didn't withdraw anything," he continued. "And if someone canceled it without my authorization, that means someone tampered with my funding." The world tilted again, but differently this time. You're the donor?" I whispered. "I am." He paused. "And you are the student the committee chose this year, Emma Rowan." Hearing my name in his voice did something strange to my chest. "Walk with me," he said. I hesitated. He noticed. I'm not asking as a stranger you bumped into, he clarified. I'm asking as the person responsible for that scholarship. I followed him through the courtyard and into a quiet administrative wing. Staff straightened when they saw him. Some whispered. Some froze. This was a man who carried power like a second skin. He guided me into a private meeting room and closed the door gently behind us. My pulse thudded. Adrian slipped off his ruined jacket, revealing a crisp white shirt stretched across a broad chest. He rolled up his sleeves with slow precision before leaning against the edge of the table. Tell me what happened, he said. I did. Every word. My voice shook through half of it. He listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable but his eyes intensely focused on me, as if my words mattered, as if I mattered. When I finished, he exhaled once, sharp and controlled. You will not be dropping out. I flinched. I don't have a choice. You do now. Dr. Blake? Adrian. I swallowed. Adrian. I can't accept charity. This isn't charity. His tone softened but remained firm. It's a correction of someone else's wrongdoing, and a personal investment. My heartbeat stumbled. Investment? Your application stood out, he said quietly. Your research focus, your academic record, your resilience despite everything stacked against you. Heat pricked the back of my eyes. You were chosen for a reason, he said. If someone tried to take that from you, I will not allow it. I don't understand why you care, I whispered. Something flickered behind his eyes. Pain? Memory? Regret? Because I failed someone once, he said after a moment. Someone I should have protected. Funding students like you is my way of making sure it never happens again. The vulnerability in his voice hit me like a punch. Before I could respond, he continued. I'm offering you a direct sponsorship, full tuition, books, living expenses if needed. My heart stopped. I can't accept that, I whispered. His gaze pinned me. You can, and you will. Adrian, this is too much. No. His voice dropped. It's the bare minimum of what you deserve. My chest tightened painfully. But there would be terms, he added. My stomach fluttered. Terms? Expectations, accountability, weekly check-ins with me. His eyes held mine. I don't invest lightly, and when I do, I stay involved. A shiver raced over my spine. This would be a partnership, he said. A commitment from us both. Us. The word hung between us like something forbidden. I opened my mouth, but the door burst open. A university official rushed in, breathless. Dr. Blake, sir, we have confirmation. Your scholarship account was accessed at 6:13 a.m. Someone revoked the funds manually. It looks deliberate. Adrian's entire posture shifted, calm transforming into controlled fury. He stood tall, commanding, dangerous in a way that sent heat curling low in my stomach. Find out who, he said, voice cold enough to freeze the room. Now. The official nodded and fled. Adrian turned back to me, his gaze intense. This wasn't an accident, he said quietly. Someone targeted my scholarship, and by extension, you. My breath hitched. He stepped closer, close enough that I felt his quiet power wrap around me like a gravitational pull. I'll fix this, Emma, he said. But I want you to think about my offer. He stopped me with a look that felt like a promise, a vow. You're not alone in this anymore. And then he walked out, leaving me breathless, shaken, and terrified of how much I wanted to trust him. I didn't hear from Adrian Blake for 2 days. 2 days where my stomach stayed in a tight knot and my brain kept replaying his intense promise. You're not alone in this anymore. I shouldn't have believed him. He was a billionaire, a donor, a man whose world didn't intersect with mine except for that one messy collision in a courtyard. But something about the way he had looked at me, focused, steady, almost protective, refused to leave my mind. I waited for an email, a phone call, anything. Nothing came. By the morning of the third day, I convinced myself he had changed his mind. Maybe sponsorships weren't handed out to clumsy, panicked girls who spilled lattes on perfectly tailored suits. Maybe he'd realized I wasn't worth the trouble. I swallowed the ache and attended my morning lecture, even though I technically wasn't enrolled anymore. I kept my head down and took notes I might never get to use. When class ended, I gathered my bag and turned, straight into a wall of broad, solid muscle. I stumbled back, heart leaping. Adrian stood in front of me, in the doorway, blocking the exit, wearing a tailored navy suit that fit his frame like it had been molded onto him. His presence pulled every pair of eyes in the room. My voice caught. "Adrian?" His eyes swept over me, quick, assessing, intense. "You're pale," he said. "You haven't been sleeping." Heat rushed up my neck. Wow, that's not an opening line I was expecting." He didn't smile. He didn't need to. His presence alone made it embarrassingly hard to breathe. "Walk with me," he said. My pulse stuttered. I followed him into the hallway, aware that half the class was watching with shameless curiosity. When we were far enough away, he stopped and faced me fully. "I found the person who tampered with the scholarship." His voice was low, clipped. "A faculty administrator in the financial aid department." I stared. Why would someone do that? His jaw tightened. They were bribed by a competing donor who wanted their candidate accepted instead. Horror rippled through me. "Can they undo it?" I asked. "They're already being terminated," he said, "but the funds aren't easily reinstated through the university's channels. Bureaucracy, signatures, committees." "So, that's it," I whispered. "I still lose everything." "No," he said sharply. The force in his voice snapped my gaze to his. "I told you," he said. "You're not dropping out." "But how?" He reached into his jacket and handed me a crisp envelope. My name was written in elegant ink across the front. "Inside," he said, "is my personal sponsorship contract. Tuition, books, research travel, living stipend." My breath caught. I reviewed every clause myself, read it carefully, asked questions. I want transparency. I turned the envelope over in my hands. It felt heavier than paper. Heavy with hope. Heavy with danger. "Adrian." My voice shook. "Why are you doing this? Really?" He exhaled, and for the first time I saw fatigue in his expression. Something quietly vulnerable. "Because I believe in what you're trying to do. Your essay about childhood trauma, it reminded me of my sister." My heart stilled. He rarely spoke publicly about his personal life. I had no idea he had a sister at all. "What happened to her?" I asked softly. His throat flexed. Something I should have prevented. He didn't say more, and I didn't push. The wound was too real, too alive. He looked away, then back at me. "Funding students like you helps me believe I can still make something right." Emotion tightened behind my ribs. But then he added, "And because I don't want to walk away from you." My breath caught. "Walk away from me?" His gaze locked with mine, the air shifting between us. "You don't know what it did to me. Seeing you trembling in that courtyard, thinking you were alone, it..." He swallowed once, quietly. It mattered. A warmth unfurled in my chest, dangerous and consuming. "But," he said, controlled again, "you need to know what accepting my sponsorship means." I nodded slowly. "You mentioned terms." His jaw tightened. "Yes." A shadow passed through his expression, something like conflict. "Weekly progress reports directly to me," he said. "Not the university." "That makes sense." "Regular check-ins. I want to know you're keeping up, sleeping, taking care of yourself." I blinked. "You want updates on my well-being?" "That's part of academic performance," he said quietly, "and part of accountability." Heat crawled up my throat. "And," he continued, "you agree to work with me on a research project I'm funding." I hesitated. "What kind of project?" "Trauma resiliency. Children and adults. It's under my private foundation. You'd be my student researcher." Student, researcher, under him. My pulse thudded painfully. I can do that, I whispered. But he wasn't finished. And there is one final term, he said, almost reluctantly. The most important. I held my breath. You cannot develop personal attachments to me. The words hit me like ice water. Oh. His eyes softened with something that almost resembled regret. I am in a position of power, he said. I will not compromise your career or your future. Some lines cannot be crossed. My heartbeat twisted painfully. I understand, I said, even though I didn't. Not really. Not in the way that mattered. He watched me with unsettling intensity. Do you? Yes, I lied. He looked unconvinced but let it go. You don't have to decide today, he said, but I need your answer by Friday. 2 days. 2 days to decide whether to change my entire life. He stepped back, putting space between us that felt like a physical ache. Read the contract, he said. And Emma? Yes? His voice dropped, low, steady, almost protective. I will not let you drown in something you didn't cause. Something fluttered dangerously in my chest. He left then, long strides echoing down the hallway. I didn't move. Not until my phone vibrated in my hand. A text. From an unknown number. Adrian. If anyone pressures you or tries to intimidate you about the scholarship, contact me immediately. Another message. Adrian. And eat something. You look like you haven't in days. My cheeks burned. But I did eat something. I bought a sandwich at the cafe across the street, even though I wasn't hungry. And then I went home to my small studio apartment, sat at my tiny kitchen table and opened the envelope. The contract was 10 pages. Clear, detailed, fair, except for the last clause, which made my stomach twist. Clause 14. The donor and recipient shall maintain strictly professional boundaries. Any emotional or personal involvement outside the academic agreement is prohibited. I stared at it for a long time. He was protecting me. Protecting himself. Protecting the scholarship. But my heart still clenched. I barely slept that night. By morning, the contract still sat on my table. By afternoon, I had read it 3 more times. By evening, my chest felt bruised from thinking about him. So when my phone buzzed at 9:13 p.m., I nearly jumped. Adrian, I'm outside. May we talk? Outside? My breath stalled. I went to my window, and there he was. Standing on the sidewalk under a street lamp, hands in his coat pockets, tall and composed and entirely out of place in my rundown neighborhood. My chest tightened painfully. I had no idea what he wanted, why he was here, why he looked unsettled. I opened the door and stepped outside. Adrian, I whispered. He looked at me, really looked, and something in his expression cracked. I shouldn't be here, he said. I know that. Then why are you? His voice was quiet, rough. Because I haven't stopped thinking about you since the moment you ran into me. My heart punched my ribs. And that is a problem, he added, almost like it hurt to say. Why? My voice came out small. Because I drew that boundary for your sake, he said, not mine. The night air felt suddenly charged, electric. Before I could form a response, he stepped back. Give me your answer tomorrow, he said. I can't stay. Adrian. But he was already walking away, and all I could do was stand there in the cold, pulse racing, realizing the truth that terrified me the most. I wasn't supposed to get attached to him, but I already was. I didn't sleep at all. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian under that street lamp, the way his voice had cracked, the way his restraint had thinned until I could feel it like heat against my skin. He hadn't touched me. He hadn't crossed a single line. And somehow that only made the ache worse. By sunrise, I realized 2 things. I wanted the scholarship, and I wanted him, in ways that scared me. But wanting him wasn't allowed. Clause 14 made sure of that. Still, I knew my answer. I printed the signed contract, slid it carefully into a folder, and headed toward the campus administrative building. My stomach buzzed with nerves the entire way. He'd told me to give him my decision today. I doubted he expected me before noon, but waiting any longer felt impossible. My fingers tightened around the folder as I stepped into the building. His foundation kept an office here. Glass walls, modern furniture, a sleek silver plaque engraved with Blake Foundation, Trauma Research and Support Initiatives. The administrative assistant looked up as I entered. "Hi," I said quietly. "I'm here for Dr. Blake." She stood a little straighter. "He's in the conference room. I'll let him know." Before she finished, a familiar voice carried across the hall. "Emma?" I turned. Adrian stood in the doorway of the glass-walled conference room. Blue-gray eyes, rolled sleeves, a look that hit somewhere inside me I wasn't prepared for. "Come in," he said. The door closed behind us, soft but final. He looked tired, like sleep had been a stranger to him too. "You're here early." His voice was controlled, but something trembled underneath. "Does that mean you've decided?" "Yes." His inhale was sharp, restrained. "And?" Wordlessly, I handed him the folder. He opened it and froze when he saw my signature. "You're accepting the sponsorship?" he said slowly, "despite the terms?" "Yes." His jaw flexed once. "Even clause 14? A knot tightened in my stomach. "Even that?" Silence hung between us, thick and charged. Then he closed the folder with a quiet, decisive click. "Good," he said. "I'm glad." But the way he said it wasn't glad at all. It was raw, conflicted, like he was stitching two halves of himself together, duty and desire. He set the folder down and braced his hands on the table, head bowed for one long second before he straightened. "I want to be clear," he said. "This wasn't an easy boundary to draw. You matter more than I let myself admit." My heart thudded painfully. Then why keep it? Because once a line like this is crossed, there's no going back. Not for you, not for me. My position, your career, the power imbalance. "I know," I whispered, "but I'm not scared." He looked at me sharply. "You should be." "I am only scared of losing the one person who cared when no one else did." Something shattered in his expression. He closed the distance between us until he stood only a foot away. Close enough for me to see the flicker in his eyes, close enough for warmth to bleed into the air. "You have no idea," he murmured, "how hard it is not to touch you." My breath trembled. "Then don't stop yourself." His jaw clenched, muscles taut. "Emma." The warning dissolved into silence. The tension snapped tight enough to hurt. And then, a knock on the door. We jumped apart like guilty teenagers. A staff coordinator leaned in, holding a tablet. "Dr. Blake, the board meeting, they need you downstairs, it's urgent." Adrian didn't look away from me as he answered. "I'll be down in a moment." She left. He exhaled slowly, fighting for control. "This isn't over," he said. No, it definitely wasn't. The storm before the break hours passed after he left for his meeting. I went to class, tried to focus, failed miserably. At 3:11 p.m., my phone buzzed. "Adrian, I need to see you. Are you on campus?" My pulse leapt. Me. Yes. The library. Adrian, I'm coming now. My stomach twisted with anticipation and nerves, but 15 minutes later, it wasn't Adrian who walked through the library doors. It was the financial aid director, red-faced, angry, marching straight toward me. "You!" she hissed, waving a stack of papers. "Do you have any idea what trouble you've caused?" "Trouble?" I whispered. "The donor, Dr. Blake, has filed a full investigation. The university is under audit. My department is under audit. Because of you." "I didn't do anything. You accepted his personal sponsorship." She sneered like it was something shameful. "How convenient for you." Her voice grew louder. Students were looking. "It makes us all look incompetent," she snapped. "And frankly, the optics of your involvement with him—" "My involvement?" My chest tightened. "There is no involvement." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "A billionaire singles out a struggling student?" Visits her home at night? People are talking. Humiliation scorched my face. How do you know about that? I whispered. She crossed her arms. We monitor students funded by donors, especially when they become exceptions. Exceptions. The word felt like a slap. Before I could respond, a voice cut through the room like a blade. That is enough. The air shifted. Students froze. Adrian stood at the end of the aisle, furious, controlled, terrifyingly calm. He walked toward us with long, deliberate strides. The financial aid director paled. Dr. Blake, You are speaking to a scholarship recipient, he said sharply, not a criminal. She's causing disruption. No, he said, taking another step. Your department caused this, and you will not harass her again. Her mouth opened, then closed. If I hear one more report of inappropriate monitoring or intimidation, he said, voice low and cold, your employment here will end faster than the administrator who falsified my authorization. She swallowed hard. Understood. She left, quickly. I stood frozen, shaking. Adrian turned to me, and all the fury drained from his expression. Are you all right? His voice softened instantly. Did she threaten you? I don't know, He stepped closer. Emma. My throat tightened. People saw her shouting. They heard her say you came to my place. Everyone thinks... He looked pained. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It is, he said quietly. I put you in this position. My eyes stung. I knew what I was risking. But you shouldn't have to. His hand lifted slightly, like he wanted to touch me but stopped himself at the last second. The restraint hurt worse than any distance. We need to talk, he said, but not here. A choice neither of us could unmake. We walked in silence across campus, down the stone steps, and toward the quiet garden behind the science building, the only place students rarely used. He stopped near a bench beneath a cedar tree. I can't keep doing this, he said softly. My heart dropped. Doing what? Pretending the line between us is intact. I swallowed hard. Is it broken? He met my eyes with devastating honesty. It snapped the moment I saw you shaking in that courtyard. Warmth flooded my chest. But if we move forward, he said, it has to be your choice. Not an accidental fall. Not because you feel grateful or obligated. I'm not confused, I said, voice trembling. This isn't gratitude. His breath hitched. I care about you, I whispered. More than I expected to. More than I should. His control faltered, visibly. He looked away, jaw tight, like he was fighting something too strong to contain. Emma, he said roughly, if I let myself want you, then want me. He inhaled sharply. I stepped closer. Adrian, I know the risks. I know the imbalance. But I also know that you see me. Not as a student, not as someone to rescue. You see me. His eyes closed like the truth hurt. And I see you, I whispered. Your regret, your loyalty, your heart, all of it. He opened his eyes, and the walls were gone. Tell me yes, he murmured. Tell me you want this. I didn't hesitate. Yes. A sound escaped him, half exhale, half surrender. He reached for me, and this time he didn't stop himself. His hands cupped my face, warm and steady. And then his forehead rested against mine, breath unsteady. God, I've wanted this, he whispered. So have I. When his lips met mine, it wasn't rushed or reckless. It was deep, sure, and unbearably tender, as if he'd been holding it back for too long. Heat spiraled through me, but underneath it was something softer, something safe, something that felt like home. He drew back only enough to look at me. This doesn't jeopardize your future, he murmured. I won't allow it. I know. I'll restructure the sponsorship, transfer oversight to a third-party reviewer, remove myself from decisions affecting your academic standing. Emotion welled in my chest. You'd do all that For me? For us. The words settled warm and steady between us. He brushed his thumb gently along my cheek. You didn't lose your scholarship, Emma, he said. You found someone who will stand beside you every step of the way. My heart felt full to the point of breaking. And you, I whispered, didn't fail anyone. Not this time. He pulled me against his chest, wrapping me in an embrace that felt like the end of every storm. For the first time in weeks, I breathed without fear. Epilogue, short, warm, and complete. 3 months later, I stood beside Adrian at the Blake Foundation Winter Gala, my hand in his, my heart steady. The university scholarship program had been rebuilt, securely, transparently. Students smiled at him, thanked him, admired him, and he looked at me like I was the most important person in the room. The boy who hacked the scholarship funds had been caught. The administrator who enabled him was fired. My research project earned praise from top faculty. And Adrian? He didn't hide our relationship. He didn't apologize for it. He simply made sure it was always my choice. He leaned down, his lips brushing my ear. You changed everything, he whispered. I squeezed his hand. So did you. And under the soft lights of downtown Seattle, surrounded by music and warmth, I realized something simple and true. Losing my scholarship had been the best mistake of my life, because it brought me to him. And loving him? That was the beginning of everything.